Hey everybody, as you've probably seen by now, LEGO unveiled the final official production version of the LEGO Ideas The Flintstones set. That's actually going to be released in March, a little bit before then, for VIPs. And I wanted to just go through it and share my own personal thoughts about what I see here. And I'm just going to start with an overview or review of what actually is included in the set, starting with the main Flintstones house, which I think looks really nice. Now, keep in mind that all of these official pictures here are, against the white background, are renders, so they're showing things a little bit better than they actually will be. I think I'll get to that a little bit more later on, but the overall shape here, and you can see the build, all the pieces that are put together with studs on the side construction. I really like this. I really like kind of the dynamism of it, how it has a lot of different shapes. You know, it's uneven. It's a little bit flat from the front maybe, but I actually just like how this looks on display, and I especially appreciate the rounded corners of the base and a little bit of foliage and smaller rocks around the base. I think that really helps to frame the whole thing on display nicely, and I appreciate the slant of the roof. You know, it just looks pretty nice there. When you turn it around, you can remove that slanted roof completely, and the base has a couple of hinges to allow you to open it up, or you can close it up to just have a different shape of space for creating larger dioramas, I guess, if you want to have bigger scenes for the interior, or you can make it a little bit more compact. On one side, there's the big floor lamp. You got the couch and the picture over the couch as well. Interesting that they used the Unikitty Figure Series base, that cloud piece, for the tabletop. I actually like the original designer's idea for this a little bit better, but we'll get to that a little bit later on. A little bowl there with some fruit in it, and on the other side of the room is the TV. I'm assuming that all of the decorations in this set are going to be prints this time around. I could be mistaken on that, but I do believe they are going to be prints. And I mean, that pretty much takes care of the interior of the house. You also get the Flintstones mailbox, which again I think is going to have a print on it. If it's a sticker, it'll be fine, but I think it'll be a print. And it's a small thing and looks fine. The other major build is the car, and at first glance, this looks great to me. I really appreciate the canopy over the top that's made out of cloth, and you'll be able to bend it to get it to look pretty much like that. You know, it looks very organic, and I also like how the side rails are forked at the ends appropriately. I think that these definitely are prints, the printed log end 2x2 round tiles there are too large. They should have been just the 1x1 versions, which they do make, but I recognize that the Lego designer made those big, or used the larger ones in order to cover up some of the mechanism behind there, because the wheels, such as they are able to actually spin on this, which is a pretty important thing. So they've got the axle. I believe it's going to be an axle that's going through there. So that all works out. And this is able to hold 4 figures inside of it, which is great. And it can also hold the rack of dinosaur ribs on one side. They include that as well as just an additional little accessory type thing. Strangely, Lego did not yet put out good pictures of all of the figures, even as CG renders, of all the figures just viewed from the front, so you can see them very clearly, but I'll try to pick out the better one. So here obviously we have Barney and Fred, and they've done an interesting thing for the nose. I'm not entirely happy with it myself. They show the big plump nose there. I think we've got a better shot of, at least it's for the 2 male characters. The female characters don't have any suggestion of nose at all. But here's a good picture, the one good picture that they have from the front of Barney here. I think when you look at it this close and you know what you're looking at, it makes sense, but in the context of other figures, it's kind of halfway done. They didn't want to commit fully to properly showing the shape of the nose by putting an outline there, but then it's kind of in this halfway state. I feel like my eyes or my brain at some point sees it perfectly, and then sometimes it doesn't see it. This sees a void there. I think this would have been so much better if they had just a single line just going on the underside of the nose itself, just in a dark orange, or maybe a brown, but probably just a dark orange, just something a little bit darker outside of the light area, so within the 5 o'clock shadow area. to create a little bit of shadow there, just to define the nose. Otherwise, I feel like this is a pretty good translation of the idea of that face into the Lego world and to make it look like a minifigure. But it is strange that Barney in particular gets the eye highlights, and also Wilma does. She also gets the eye highlights. Now, neither of those characters should have had those. Yeah, just strange. Again, they went kind of maybe not halfway, maybe closer to the Lego style than to the original IP style. It's kind of the opposite of what they did for The Simpsons, when they really went all out and created new molds and made them look as close as reasonably possible to the original designs. These are more Lego styled. Now these, on the other hand, are the original designer's submission, and these have the Lego style for the figures overall, the physical style, but then they go with the original graphic style for them, which I think actually works really well. And even though they had to pick a direction, a projection, in order to show the shape of the nose, they had to choose a side to kind of take the picture from to plaster that on as a print. I think these were well chosen. I do think that Fred's face should have been a little bit wider there to fit onto the minifigure head, just a little bit, even if it was distorted a bit. But I like these designs, and I just feel like they were just so much more faithful to the original source material. And here again, Barney, with no highlights in the eyes, makes sense. Also, these all used the cloth pieces for showing the lower part of their clothing, which looked pretty nice to me. I'll have to wait and see how the actual Lego ones appear with their legs. Like I say, we've only seen renders here, and a lot of the quality is really going to come down to how well they actually print those legs. Since Lego can do very good prints, but sometimes they don't. Also, Barney is supposed to be significantly shorter than Fred, and the original designer went with child-sized legs to simulate that. It's a little bit too small. Fortunately, nowadays, Lego actually has the medium-sized legs that are halfway in between, but they didn't use those for this set, which is odd. Now, after looking at those original designs and coming back to this, again, my brain shifts away from the realm of belief of these. The suspension of disbelief is ruined with the nose for Fred and also for Barney there, just to me personally. This set does only come with 4 figures. It does not include the kids that were in the original submission, but I think that's okay. I feel like that's an okay amount for this set. I am a little bit sad that they did not include Dino here, because I really feel like that would have helped a lot to sell this concept, and it also would have introduced some much needed color, because when you look at this front of the box picture, which is really the best view that they've offered up so far for all of the stuff included in the set, so much of what you're looking at there is background art, is matte painting. It's not real at all. When you really look at just, if you can kind of block that out with your mind and look at just the stuff that's included here, it's a little bit bland. It's not that colorful compared to the original submission, which was a lot more colorful, a lot more vibrant, even though, still a lot of the stuff is just gray. This just looked like it was a more appealing thing to have on a shelf, either to put it on a box or to have it in person. I really like the Bedrock sign. Welcome to Bedrock sign here. I think that the terrain piece that the car is over is unnecessary here, so I'm not sad to see that go. But yeah, it just seems more vibrant, more interesting to me when you look at this, including the interior. Now notice right there, the original designer had used the Green Army Men minifigure base, which was also used to represent a little puddle of Craggle in a different color, used for the coffee table there. I think that's just a much better shape, but I'm assuming that the Lego designer or designers were having to go back and forth on budget for how many pieces could be made, combination of prints and new colors for this set, and that's one that they just decided was best to compromise on, use something that they already had. But I do like this shape here better. I think I like this overall scene better, just subjectively at first glance. I think the official Lego set is designed much more properly, has much better techniques. Everything is much more clean and neat, but it just doesn't have as much life as the original did. I also have to throw this out there. This is another Flintstones project that was on Lego Ideas starting in 2016. This one got over 6,000 votes, and I think it looks really good as well. But 6,000 isn't enough, and now this guy gets nothing, so that really sucks. There are actually a lot of things about Lego Ideas that I think are very, very unfair and just not healthy in general, but that's for another day. The set comes out for everyone on March 1st, and for VIPs, actually February 20th, I believe is the date for it. $60 in the US for 748 pieces gives it a really, really good price to part ratio, but I think the price to volume of stuff ratio is not going to look all that great. Better than some sets with the amount of detail, certainly, but the overall size may seem a little bit small when you actually build it up in person, but we shall see. I will, of course, get this set and review it in person and see if any of my thoughts change about it. The UK price will be £55, and I've seen the price for Canada at 80. It'll also be €60. That's about it for my thoughts on this, though. I personally haven't watched the Flintstones since the very early 80s, and I think I only saw it in black and white back then, so I really don't have any personal attachment to the original source material. But I have seen Flintstones related stuff in all sorts of media for my entire life, so I do recognize the characters, and hopefully I had some valid opinions to share. That's all for now, though. Thanks for watching. I will catch you later.